Good morning, agents, and welcome to another daily episode of Target Loot today for Sunday, November 29th. In this series, we cover a lot: Target Loot map, Dark Zone exclusives, highlights for the weekly vendor resets, build and farming suggestions, and a lot more. I'm Agent Shadow, and if you enjoyed this video, consider pressing the subscribe and like buttons below, and remember to comment below as well if you have any other questions. Otherwise, let's get this video started. Alright, agents, well, starting off with the Dark Zones and vendor reset highlights. I'll have the top vendor reset highlights in the bottom left overlay right now. I would say probably the best things that you can get this week, really not much, but honestly the Baker's Dozen at the DZ West isn't too bad. If you reroll the third attribute slot for 10% damage to targets out of cover, it is usable in heroic content for sure. There is a 0F chest piece at the White House. It's alright. I don't really think it's worth picking up, but it's there if you need it for maybe challenging content. Otherwise, in the DZ South, there's a Mozambique special you can get at the DZ vendor for 152 DZ resources, like any other named item in the Dark Zone vendors, and that might be worth it for you as well. It has perfect breadbasket on it. But really, what's worth farming for today in the Dark Zones is the shotgun targeted loot in DZ East. So this is where you can pick up the rock and roll shotgun with perfectly extra. I personally really love this on my True Patriot build, the True Patriot Memento build with a Sokolov chest with Obliterate or Intimidate on it. I run the Lady Death now with the rock and roll shotgun because it's got like 36 rounds in it with the True Patriot build, usually like 30 rounds on the drum normally without True Patriot, and it's a fully automatic shotgun. So it's really, really worth farming for in my opinion. Otherwise, let's go check out now what we got on the north side. Alright, agents, so over here on the north side, Target Loot highlights, starting off with Camp White Oak, we got gear system mods. Now, I've tried the Summit on Legendary for gear system mods, and I've honestly probably gotten more God rolled mods just on heroic content. I think that it's kind of just random, but if there's a heroic open world or mission, I usually run that for gear system mods instead of Summit, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, Bellstone Armory at Coney Island Ballpark. Now you can get the everyday carrier with perfectly efficient. While I've never used that chest before, I have used the liquid engineer with perfect bloodsucker. That's an amazing backpack for sure, but it is a DZ exclusive or a season 3 reward kind of exclusive. So it's kind of difficult to farm for. You can't farm for it in the open world or missions. It won't drop from an NPC, but the everyday carrier will. Otherwise, holsters at Coney Island Amusement Park. There's 2 exotic holsters that are highly worth farming for. That's going to be the Dodge City holster and the Imperial Dynasty holster. Otherwise, there's a named one that can drop from NPCs in the open world. That's the Forge holster. That's going to be 50% extra shield health to your shield. And lastly, we got Petrov at Manning National Zoo. So this is where you can farm for the Contractor's Gloves with 8% damage to armor. I run this on all LMG builds usually. Otherwise, I can mix it with 2 pieces of Walker Harrison Co. for additional damage to armor, and then put damage to armor on like an assault rifle or something. And that really stacks a lot of damage to armor, and it's an interesting and fun hard-hitting build. Kenley College is closed, and then of course the Summit, you pick your own targeted loot. So let's go check out now what we got on the west side. Alright, agents, over here on the west side, starting off with the gear sets, we got Aces and Eights at the Pentagon. Now, Aces and Eights is a headshot damage gear set, so what you want to do is mix 3 pieces, not 4, with 2 pieces of Geraldo Holding and a Chain Killer chest piece with perfect headhunter on it. That's a really good headshot damage build, and I always run it with the Mantis, which you could farm for here at DARPA Research Labs today. Otherwise, a couple of good named marksman rifles you could pick up for sure is going to be the White Death and Ekim's Long Stick, which by the way you can pick up from the campus today, or sorry, for the next couple of days from the weekly vendor reset. And that has a really good roll on it. Just reroll the headshot damage in the second attribute slot, and it's definitely worth picking up. Next up, we got Hardwired at Constitutional Hall. Hardwired is probably going to be the best way you can do the Assault Turret Striker Drone build until TU12 drops. Now, before TU12 drops, you're going to run 3 pieces of Hardwired, 2 pieces of Hana-U, and 1 piece of Wyvernware, and I run Kinetic Momentum, and then Perfect Combined Arms. Now, you can pick that up today at West Atomic Park, the Perfect Combined Arms talent on the Force Multiplier backpack. That's a Hana-U piece. And I always run the chest piece as a Wyvernware chest piece with a kinetic momentum on it, but you can put glass cannon on it as well if you choose. Next up, we got Strikers at Foggy Bottoms. The Strikers is really only useful for that 3-piece, which increases your rate of fire and I believe weapon handling as well. So this is something I would put on like a Merciless build. Otherwise I really don't ever use this. And then Ongoing Directive at Atomic Event Center. This is a bleed damage build, but for anyone that uses that Eclipse Protocol backpack, like even I do, with that 30% amplified damage to people that are under status effect, that is going away in TU12. That's something in the maintenance notes that I saw on the patch notes or whatever for the PTS Phase 2. They're taking out the System Aggravator talent so that you have to be wearing 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol for it to even work. Otherwise, I would just use this with, 4 pieces Ongoing Directive, the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, and the Eclipse backpack. And then once the Eclipse backpack goes away, just get, a good backpack with like Wicked on it, and that should, be good. Otherwise, for normal targeted loot, we got rifles over here at Federal Emergency Bunker. So there's 2 exotic that you can get. That's going to be the Merciless and the Diamondback exotic rifles. Now, both of those are alright, but really what you want to get is the named ones, like, the Surge with Perfect Spike on it. The Baker's Dozen, Perfect Lucky Shot. Both of those are highly worth farming for. Otherwise, if you get a good classic M1A, you want the best rifle damage talents on that. I love Boomerang, Rifleman, and Ranger. Those are the hardest hitting talents on a rifle that you can get. Next up, we got Badger Stuff at Downtown West. You can farm for the 0S chest piece with Perfect Unbreakable. Now, this is worth farming for because there's not a good enough one at the vendor for like heroic content in my opinion. So I would just farm for it today in Downtown West. We also got chest pieces at Bank HQ, so there's 2 exotic chests you could farm for, the Tardigrade, and then of course the Ridgeway's Pride. But you do need to complete Summit Floor 100 to get the project after getting all 5 difficulty exotic components. Otherwise, just farm with someone that might, that already has it, like myself, and ask them if they can share their, second drop with you if possible. Otherwise, we got Overlord over here at Tidal Basin. You can farm for those Fox's Pair knee pads, with 8% damage targets out of cover. That's multiplicative damage. It's really great to run on rifle builds and without them. It's usually best in slot, so definitely worth, farming for. Alright, agents, last thing we can get today is at Lincoln Memorial. Now, this is a great mission to run. I mean, there's 3 bosses at the end. I can finish in under 9 minutes, and that's solo as well. There's 2 exotics you can farm for here, the Coyote's Mask and the Vile Mask. Both of those are highly worth farming for. Coyote's for DPS, and then Vile for status effects or fire damage, kind of status effect damage builds. Otherwise, there is a name mask you could pick up. That's Douglas and Harding, and that's the Punch Drunk Mask. It gives you an extra 20% headshot damage baked right into it, and goes great with like an Aces and Eights build or all high-end headshot damage build. Alright, agents, now starting off at the east side highlights, we got gear sets starting off first, and Tip of the Spear is Space Administration HQ if you want to farm for that today. I personally never run this. I mean, it just increases specialization weapon damage from what I know. I just don't ever run it myself. The Eclipse Protocol at Southwest is definitely worth farming for. Use 4 pieces with the Imperial Dynasty or Vile Mask, and then 1 piece of Golan gear. Now, that's a really good status effect or just fire damage build, so definitely check that out like as a skill damage build. And then the last few that we got up here is Future Initiative and Foundry Bulwark at District Union and Grand Washington Hotel. Now, Future and the Foundry, both of those chest and backpack pieces are raid exclusive to the Iron Horse raid. Now, Future Initiative is a great healer build. Now, if you don't have the chest and backpack from the Iron Horse raid, you can run Alp Summit chest piece with Empathetic Resolve and a backpack with like Safeguard on it. And then Foundry Bulwark, there's all sorts of different ways to mix and match this up to be a DPS hybrid or to be just a tank overall. And you don't need the chest and backpack, but usually the backpack has an excellent, bonus talent on it that you can run. But otherwise, I just don't personally ever run it. So if you do, comment in the comment section below and let me know how you run it. And as far as regular targeted loot, we got Grupo Sombra Judiciary Square. So 1 piece for DPS builds for the extra crit hit damage, and then 2 pieces for explosive skill damage builds like Artillery Turret and Seeker Mine builds because of the 15% explosive damage you get from it. We do got assault rifles at Federal Triangle, so there's a couple of named ones. First off, we got the Chameleon with Adaptive Instincts. That's definitely worth picking up. And with my True Patriot build, swap out the Sokolov chest for a Fenris chest with Intimidate, and that just shreds through content as well. Now, for the named assault rifles, you can get 3 of them that I can remember. The Mechanical Animal Future Perfection, the Burnout named FAMAS, and the Military AKM, which is the Maniac. I believe that one's a Dark Zone exclusive. Otherwise, the best assault rifles in this game is going to be like the FAMAS, Military AKM, Police M4, the Carbine 7. Those 4 are probably the best in class. And then we got Walker Harrison Co. at Jefferson Trade Center. So that's the Chain Killer chest piece, the Perfect Headhunter. That's just mandatory with any headshot damage build. I wouldn't know what to do with a headshot build without it. And then we got Providence Defense and American History Museum. So you can farm for the Sacrifice of Perfect Glass Cannon. I'm starting to get into Glass Cannon and see what it can do. I know it deals, it amplifies all damage by 25-30%. but it does amplify all damage to you by 50-60%. So it's a lot to take. But if you can handle the enemies and kill them quicker than they can kill you, then it's worth it. Next up, we got submachine guns at E small. So you got 4 control points here to farm back to back for the 3 exotic SMGs. That's gonna be the Lady Death, the Chatterbox, and the Backfire SMG. Otherwise, just remember that the Dark Winter and the Apartment are Dark Zone exclusive, so you can wait until it's SMG targeted loot to farm the Dark Zones for that. And then the named SMGs that do drop in the Light Zone is the Safety Distance with Perfect Outsider. That is highly worth getting, by the way. And then there's a few other ones as well, like the Swap Chain, the Grudge. I really recommend getting the Safety Distance, though. It shreds through content, and you could shred through content from a lot further away than normal with an SMG. We do got knee pads at Capitol Building Stronghold, so there's 2 exotics. That's the Sawyer's knee pads and the Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads. Both of those are mostly DPS, knee pads. I would say Ninja Bike for sure, but Sawyer's can also go on a tank build or an LMG build. And then the Fox's Prayer, I would just farm Overlord today, not knee pads, but you can if you want. They both would result in you getting the Fox's Prayer knee pads. This Overlord farming would probably just be easier. And then lastly, we got Sokolov at Jefferson Plaza. Like I always say, the best chest talents on a chest piece for Sokolov would be Intimidate and Obliterate. And then the best backpack talents you can get would be Adrenaline Rush and Vigilance. Those are probably just the best 4 talents you can put on Sokolov chest and backpack pieces all together. Now let's go check out New York City before we end this video. Alright, agents, so lastly at New York City target loot highlights, starting off with the gear sets. We got True Patriot at Civic Center for anyone farming for that True Patriot Memento build. It's highly worth farming for because it works in solo and in group. I really enjoy this build, just as much as I enjoy my latest DPS hybrid build with the Death Grips and Hunter's Fury. It's highly worth farming for, so definitely check that out. And then second off, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at Stranded Tanker. So Negotiator's Dilemma is a great DPS set. It runs great with ARs, SMGs, LMGs. It goes great with a lot of stuff. I'll put my double LMG build in the top right video for you guys to check out. It's like 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, the Coyote's Mask, and Grupo Sombro gloves. And that was from a few title updates ago, and it still works pretty dang good. And then last up, we got Hunter's Fury over here at Liberty Island. Now, Hunter's Fury, everyone probably knows about already. And I noticed something in Reddit that I wanted to mention. Now, a lot of people say that Hunter's Fury, they see a lot of, build videos where it shreds through content. But, the people that are doing the build videos are doing it solo. Now, I do this too. I think I had Hunter's Fury maybe in a group before in one of my build videos. But for the most part, I mentioned that it's a mostly solo, PvE kind of build. Because it doesn't really work in group, settings, especially because say you and another, matchmade person or friend or clanmate is running a mission together. Whoever gets to that enemy first within that, however meters that chest talent is for the 4-piece gets that extra weapon damage from the Hunter's Fury buff, and then the other person doesn't. It only works, with the person that's the closest to the enemy first. So just remember that when you, put together a Hunter's Fury build. It works amazing solo. And I think my one with the Death Grip gloves works amazing in groups as well, but I would personally prefer running my 4-piece True Patriot with the Memento and the Sokolov chest in a group and renting Hunter's Fury solo. Otherwise, you got light machine guns at Pathway Park, so there's 2 exotics you can get, the Bullet King and the Pestilence. Both of those are worth farming for, especially the Pestilence with that, tick that it has. You can get that over 1 million, especially with that Negotiator's Dilemma build I showed you guys earlier. And then for the named LMGs, you can get the Carnage, the Sleipnir. The Carnage with Perfect Status is probably my favorite, in that ongoing Directed Bleed build. And then the new Reliable Perfectly Optimized is also extremely good. So both of those are worth farming for sure. That's pretty much it. Douglas and Harding at 2 bridges. You can farm for that Punch Drunk mask instead of farming masks in general. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Alright, agents, well that was the targeted loot for today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed my content. If you would like to become a member for support and exclusive perks, you can click the join button below. You can also grab some Shadow Gaming merchandise by clicking the link in the pinned comment and video description below as well. Remember, I got this whole 10% off all merchandise until December 4th and free shipping until the 30th of November, which just ends in a few days or tomorrow. So definitely check that out if you guys are going to order anything. Otherwise, if you're still watching this video to the end, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate anyone who watches these videos all the way to the end. It shows a lot of support, so thank you very much for that. Take care, agents, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Agent Shadow signing off, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, agents.